I want to talk to you about LLC startup business loans, no security deposit. How do you actually get a large amount this year? So, here are the generalities I want you to really first pay attention to. The thing is that when you ask the question, can you actually get an LLC startup business loan with no security deposit? The answer is yes. You can certainly get such a loan amount. As a matter of fact, you can get up to 7 digits, up to $1 million with no security deposit. Okay, but the big question is, how much can you afford to repay back? Because see, the lender is really interested in approving your loan. The question is, do you have the revenue? Do you have the revenue projection to repay the loan? So there has to be a correlation between the loan you are asking the lender to approve you for and the amount that you can actually pay every month or every quarter or every 6 months, depending on the loan amount. Okay. But the thing is that when it comes to LLC startup business loans, no security deposit, don't forget that you have the possibility also to think about equipment financing. So basically, maybe you want to buy a truck, maybe you want to buy a machine for your industry. Maybe you can try other areas, okay? But the possibilities are there for you to get an LLC startup business loan, no security deposit. And it doesn't have to be collateralized, by the way, so there's no collateral. You can also try a micro loan. So a micro loan is actually a loan that actually approves you for less than $50,000. So going back to what I said about a correlation between the loan amount, the loan payment every single month, and the revenue, the projected revenue that you are going to generate. So maybe you can start with a small loan amount before actually increasing the amount, right? You can start little, establish a relationship with the lender, make sure you're comfortable with the lender is comfortable with you before you move up to a bigger amount. So start little, get a micro loan of less than $50,000, LLC startup business loans, no security deposit, and basically you can take it from there. And you can actually get this loan from a credit union or from an alternative lender. If you have a great relationship with your bank, you can also get such a loan from a bank. Also, if you're looking for LLC startup business loans, no security deposit, you have to really ask yourself, are you looking for cash, like pure cash, or are you looking for a source of business credit? In other words, are you looking for a business funding? Because maybe you can just apply for a business credit card as opposed to applying for an LLC startup business loans, no security deposit, right? So you can get an LLC startup business credit card. And this could be a little more like a little easier for you. Now, of course, with business credit cards, the only limitation is how much you could actually get, right? If you are an LLC startup and you're looking for, let's say, $100,000 or $250,000, you're not going to have such an amount actually approved as a credit limit on a business credit card. So that's why you got to ask yourself, are you looking for a large amount or a small amount? If you're looking for a small amount, besides a micro loan, you can try a small business credit card for your LLC. You can also try accounts receivable financing. So when you think about LLC startup business loans, no security deposit, you can try accounts receivable financing, accounts receivable factoring. So the thing is that you are actually collateralizing, if you will, directly or indirectly the loan. Of course, you're not putting any collateral per se, but the accounts receivable, the accounts receivable are going to constitute the underlying collateral that the lender is going to look at. So one thing for sure, if you're looking for an LLC startup business loan, no security deposit, but before actually asking for a plain loan, like a regular loan, you want to really consider those options that I just listed for you. Equipment financing, microloans, small business credit cards, or accounts receivable financing. And accounts receivable financing, sometimes you might hear accounts receivable financing, sometimes you might hear accounts receivable factoring. There is a distinction, but bottom line is that the lender is looking at your revenue projection to actually get you a loan. And in the case of equipment financing, the lender is looking at the underlying assets to grant you the loan. So if you're looking for LLC startup business loans, no security deposit, how to get one, you want to really understand that everything starts with your like a couple of things that are really important. First, you want to pay attention to your personal credit score. Of course, I know you are trying to get an LLC startup business loan with no security deposit, but you can't really ignore your personal credit score. Why? Because your LLC is a startup, so your LLC probably doesn't have a established operational history yet. So your personal credit score is going to matter a lot to the lender. So you want to really go to annualcreditreport.com and see what kind of records you have in your TransUnion, in your Equifax, or your Experian sort of a file. Okay, where are you at in your credit score? Do you have bad credit? Do you have good credit? Or do you have excellent credit? You also want to think about your business credit history if you have one. I mean, if, as a startup, maybe your startup is 3 months old or 6 months old. So the traditional definition is that if you have an LLC startup that's less than 1 year old, it's still considered a startup. Okay, so but if you are like if you have been in business for 6 months or 3 months, maybe you have a business credit history. Maybe you have a file in Dun and Bradstreet. You have a file in Equifax Business Credit or Experian Business Credit. So you want to really check your business credit history to make sure there is no derogatory item on that front. You also want to really ask yourself what kind of collateral you might want to really let's say pledge. Normally, when you're getting an LLC startup business loan, no security deposit, unless you have a valuable collateral, the lender is not going to really pay attention to that aspect of things. You also want to pay attention to the length of time in business, how long you've been in business. You are a startup, but are you like a startup, or are you just a startup that's been around for a couple of months? That's going to play an important role in the lender's decision to approve you or not, and also your capacity to repay the loan, right? The loan and the capacity has to come from future revenue or savings. Also, one thing I want to share with you are a few top hacks. Okay, if you are trying to really get an LLC startup business loan with no security deposit, you have to really have a clear idea about your cash flow and assets. You got to know your cash flow and assets. That's really important. What are your assets? What kind of assets does your LLC have? And by assets, I'm talking about cash, accounts receivable, machinery, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so your assets, your cash flow, your projected cash flow. So your cash inflows and your cash outflows. And you also want to really understand that the industry you're in is going to play an important role. So when I really share with you a few top hacks, you need to understand that if you want to get a business loan with no money, you have to really explain to the lender the reasons for the loan. So it's called the use of loan proceeds. So you can say, for instance, I'm trying to get my business off the ground. So I have an LLC and I'm trying to get my business off the ground. So this is actually a good reason for the lender to actually consider your application and approve it. Okay. So most LLC startups need some money to open their doors. That's for sure. And I'm speaking about needing like initial money for rent, inventory, equipment, payroll services, and other operational expenses before actually you generate sales, before they generate sales. So if you foresee a short time frame to ramp up income for loan payments, it may be worthwhile to actually borrow money. Also, you might say to the lender that I need the money to grow. Let's say your LLC may need money to fund additional facilities, okay, inventory, payroll, working capital, and more during your LLC's early stages. So if you haven't accumulated much savings yet, loan could really help act as catalyst for your LLC's growth. Also, you can tell the lender, hey, listen, I'm just waiting to get paid. So the thing is that not every LLC business is actually cash and carry. So in many LLCs, customers actually expect you to send an invoice that may not get paid until maybe 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So if you have cash locked up in unpaid invoices, consider actually invoice factoring. I said this a little earlier. So invoice factoring or accounts receivable financing to help convert them into cash. And you will sell a portion of your invoices to a factoring company in exchange for an advance of a portion of the invoice. So that's going to help you big time, especially if you're thinking about collateralizing a lot of stuff. Okay, that's important to think about. So if you are thinking about LLC, startup business loans, no security deposit, let me give you the strategy you need to really pay attention to here. First of all, it's important to understand that you want to have a clear idea about the kinds of loans that you can get without collateral. Because you have a lot of loans, of course, besides equipment financing, besides accounts receivable factoring, besides receivable financing, you have other sources. You have, for instance, lines of credit. You can try peer-to-peer lending, so P2P lending. You could try in some very restricted, let's say, circumstances, you can try SBA loans, okay? So SBA loans can really help you out, really understand what works and what doesn't work. One thing for sure, when you think about SBA loans, you have more paperwork needed, but you have the possibility to actually get the loan without security deposit, okay? That's for sure. You can also try a line of credit. A line of credit is actually more flexible in terms of giving you the funding that you need if you're looking for an LLC, startup business loan, no security deposit. The only thing about the line of credit is that the amount that you are getting is not going to be as much as, in some cases, it's not going to be as much as a traditional loan. So the thing about line of credit is that you're not going to have, like, let's say $500,000 or $1 million, but at least you're getting something, okay? But it's really important to really if you're going for a line of credit, you want to really source that line of credit from an alternative lender or a credit union. Banks are a little stricter when it comes to approving you for an LLC, startup business line of credit, no security deposit, because banks just want you to really have a little bit of history, operational history, before they approve you for anything, okay? But credit union are more lenient. So a credit union, if they know you in the community, if they have seen you around, if you have been a member for a while now, that's definitely fine, especially when it comes to getting an LLC, startup business loan, no security deposit, okay? Just remember that you also have to pay attention to the repayment window you're looking at. Are you looking for 5 years? Are you looking for 1 year? Are you looking for 10 years? This will really play an important role, especially when it comes to giving you the edge that you need to have to be approved for your LLC, startup business loan, no security deposit. I want to dig a little deeper in terms of invoice factoring, merchant cash advance, peer-to-peer financing, especially when it comes to getting the loan real fast. See, the thing is, if you are looking for an LLC, startup business loan, no security deposit, depending on where you are at, your state, your city, your state, your county, you might have you might deal with a different set of lenders, okay? Maybe you are dealing with institutional lenders. Maybe you're dealing with private lenders. Maybe you're dealing with alternative lenders. If you want to get an LLC, startup business loan, no security deposit, your best bet is actually to go with to go to a loan marketplace such as Lendio or NBC, National Business Capital, to actually get the loan that you need, because you have a lot of lenders actually vying for your business. A lot of lenders actually, really competing for your business, okay? So that's really your best bet. Your second best bet is actually to go to a credit union. You want to really explore all those options before you even contact your bank, your traditional bank. Your traditional bank is going to really ask you for a lot of documentation, especially if you have no relationship with the bank or no strong relationship with the bank. If you have a good relationship, if you have an existing relationship with the bank, not a problem. That's really a lot easier, okay? But if you don't have the existing relationship, then they'll ask you for a lot of documentation. So you want to really think about going for a loan marketplace and ask for like looking for alternative lenders there. And on those loan marketplaces, besides regular loans, you can also try invoice factoring. See, the thing is, I keep pushing the invoice factoring thing because it's a lot easier to actually be approved for an LLC startup business loan, no security deposit, when it comes to an invoice factoring, because the lender is using your accounts receivable as collateral. So it's a lot easier. You probably might be paying also less interest because again, the loan is directly or indirectly actually collateralized. Same thing for merchant cash advance. So for instance, you can try if your ALC startup has an account with PayPal or Stripe or even Square, you can try a merchant cash advance with those platforms, or you can go to a regular merchant cash advance sort of a lender, and they will actually give you the loan real fast. Let me give you a few substitutes here. So when you think about LLC startup business loans, no security deposits, you have a lot of substitutes to really think about. Okay, you have actually, whether you have an early stage LLC business or an established LLC startup business, you have a lot of possibilities. Let me break it down for you. If you have an early stage LLC startup business, you can try venture capital. In some cases, venture capital could be a lot better for you when it comes to providing a source of credit, okay, or a source of funding. Not credit per se, but a source of funding, because funding can be business funding, can be credit or equity, and in this case, it can be equity or it can be credit, depending on how you set up the arrangement with a VC firm. And you can also try crowdfunding. So if you're looking for an LLC startup business loan, no security deposit, and you really have not had luck in getting the funds that you need, you can try crowdfunding, and you can solicit the donations from friends, family, and community members to support your LLC business with crowdfunding. And so while you don't have to repay the funds, creating a successful campaign can actually take significant time and effort. Like you can go to sites such as GoFundMe or Kickstarter to actually initiate your LLC startup business loan, no security deposit. So that's really important. And if you are an established business, let's say you've been around for a few months, going all the way to 1 year, you can try also like a small business grant. You can try a small business grant. I mean, a grant, you don't have to repay the grant, but the grant actually, you have to actually apply for a grant. You have to really make sure that you follow the instructions. You have to really follow all the requirements to actually be considered. But a grant actually is a great opportunity to get the cash you need, especially if you need money real fast. Okay, if you need money real fast, a grant with the right application can give you the funds real fast. Now, with grants, some industries are more popular than others. Like technology actually is pretty it's pretty interesting, especially when you think about the how you can use the cash real fast. So here's a quote into this conversation. I spoke to you about LLC startup business loans. I give you the generalities, the top hacks, the strategy, the substitute, and the quota. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.